And of course, Chalice didn't have any children.
I was her child.
You're like her child. I know that. Hello, welcome to Chalice Paul, Disappear, the True Story podcast. Today we have a special guest. It is the family member of Chalice, her younger sister, Charlene Larson. And Charlene grew up with Chalice in Madison, Florida, which is near the panhandle of Florida. And she was found by me when she resided in Las Vegas, and had the pleasure of meeting her when I was out there. And she was found by me in 2009 on an extensive search of trying to find Chalice's siblings. And I knew that she had a love for Chalice because she was very emotionally attached to her, I could tell. So she became my number one ally in trying to get to the truth behind Chalice's disappearance. So Charlene was the only one that was actually extremely emotionally attached to Chalice, and we formed a friendship. Charlene, I want to introduce you. This is Charlene Larson, and thank you so much for participating, Charlene.
Yep, okay.
So let's start off with, your fondest memories of Chalice in your childhood that you can recall. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. I remember when I was about 14, 15. I came home from school. I was upset. She walked in there. She said, I want you to tell me something. I said, what? She said, who's better than you are? And I looked at her like she's crazy. I was thinking to myself, for everybody. And she grabbed me by my face, both her hands, and said, no goddamn body, don't you ever forget that. And it stuck with me ever since.
So she said, nobody's better than you. And that was the most profound thing that she said. Can you tell me about your fond memories as a child with her before the age of 14? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember any. Oh, before I was 14, yes, she had Jack's little kid come back and get her belongings. And her and Don pulled up, and they were there for a little while. We was in the bed, we were listening to music. She started dancing. And she started doing the shimmy. She shimmied so hard it ripped her skirt all the way up the side. I'm looking at that.
So, what's the age difference between you and Chalice?
Oh, I don't know. Right.
Well, okay. So you didn't really remember her growing up until she was.
No, I don't remember. I blocked all most of my childhood out. I blocked it all out because I didn't remember didn't want to remember what my kind of person my dad was. So I blocked everything out.
So, we've had conversations about your father, and I know it's very emotional and it's very...
Yeah, abusive pedophile.
So, you've discussed that he was very abusive to all of you girls?
Yeah, all of us. He was physically, emotionally, sexually abusive.
And did you ever see any abuse yourself? I know you were a subject of abuse yourself.
I didn't. At one time, he was getting ready to rape my little sister. And I walked into the bedroom calling him, get ready to get on the bed with us. Now, and I had a broom in my hand. And I broke the broom over his head and started stabbing him with it.
He started stabbing you with a broomstick?
I started stabbing him.
Oh, you were stabbing him.
Yeah, he was back with my little sister. I wasn't about to go and do let that happen. So I had to stop him. That's the only way I can do it.
So did he call the police on you for that?
No, I did.
You called the police and they came?
Yeah, they came and they just said, behave.
Behave.
Yeah, told me to behave. It was a different, it was a different time, time back then, Parents do away with doing that stuff to their kids,
What about your mother? Was your mother there for you at all?
No, never. She was never there. She told me years later that she had to sacrifice me for the good of the family.
She had to sacrifice you for the good of the family.
Right, because she had other kids, other mouths to feed. So she had to sacrifice me for them.
So, do you think that you got the butt end of the abuse, or do you think?
Most of it, yeah.
And what about Chalice? If you don't recall, do you?
Yeah, Chalice, I'm sure she got her fair share. I'm sure she got a lot of it.
So that's why she left home. What time? How old was she when she left home?
14, I think. 14.
14 the first time she left home?
Yeah, first time she left home.
And then she came back and
came back married.
Came back married.
Yeah, married Don down in Jacksonville. Don Barnett.
How old was she when she married Donald?
Yeah, the 15, 16.
16. Well, I didn't know 16. You could get married that young, but
yeah, probably you could.
Well, that's
without a. If she was like 16, she was young.
So that was she didn't need her parents' consent to get married.
No, not then. If she did, my mom, I'm sure, signed off on it.
So, she emancipated you, correct? She took you out of the abusive.
Yeah, she helped me get emancipated. Yeah, when I was 15.
And then where did you go after you got emancipated?
I moved in with her.
Yeah, and was that was that in Jacksonville or was that in Jonesboro, Georgia?
Jonesboro,
because Chalice did move to Jonesboro from Jacksonville once she got the job at Delta Airlines. We know that for a fact. Okay. And
I think she had lived there like 4 or 5 years before I moved in.
So when we talked about this before, and I have a photo of you having Thanksgiving dinner with her, your first Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, I was doing body cast down.
And because you had a spinal injury, didn't you, as a child?
I had scoliosis. I was born with scoliosis, which is the curved spine, and they tried to correct it.
Okay.
But it won't. I mean, they can't. There's only so much they can do,
Right. So
they corrected just a little bit, not much, but some, which made it a lot easier for me to walk around, But it didn't correct it 100%. But at least I was able to function.
So you were living in Jonesboro with her, and she was pretty much supporting you solely, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And what about your sisters? Were they residing with you too? Did they eventually come to Jonesboro?
I'm already there. Kathy and Connie were already living with her.
Okay.
I was the last one.
Okay. So let's go through the family names, okay? Who is the oldest?
Clarice.
Okay, Clarice. And she's deceased now.
Yeah, she's dead.
And then the second one was Chalice.
Chalice, then Jimmy.
That's your brother, right? Is he alive? Is he alive or did he die?
No, he's dead. He died from lung cancer.
Lung cancer. Okay. And then after Jimmy was
Kathy.
And she's the one who
she's the bitch.
Well, she's the one we want to get the information from because she gave so many conflicting stories about.
Good luck. Good luck with that. I've been trying to track her down myself. Just like I want to see her face to face one more time. Because I got a lot of almost said that bit.
Well, I know you're upset with her, and you have good reason to be, based on the history and her criminal background and her.
These Chalice's identity, my identity, Carla's, my other sister Carla's, see, she's her identity too.
So Carla was after Kathy?
Carla was after me.
Okay, so then after Kathy was you, and then Carla.
No, after me was Connie.
Oh, Connie, that's right. Connie, she lives outside Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got Clarice, Chalice, Jimmy. They're all three. Well, we're assuming Chalice is dead. She's been missing for almost 40 years now.
Oh, gone. I'm the only one left. Me and Daryl.
And then you have Kathy still alive. And then after Kathy was you, correct?
Connie.
Connie is older than you.
Yeah, a year older. And then me.
And then you, and then Carla. And Carla was murdered in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm sure the public would love to hear about that.
Yeah, she was working the streets and a rival pimp shot her.
So they found her dead in an alleyway, and there was never any official investigation on that. That never.
No, they put no NHI, no human involved on her record. Closed book.
No human involved?
Yeah. That's what she was classified as, no human involved. I closed the book.
But she was shot in the back of the head, so how can no human be involved? She can't shoot herself.
That's what they classified it as. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. That guy walked up behind her, put the gun to his back of her head and pulled the trigger. Because he was a rival pimp.
Well,
she was in his territory. She was in his territory. Didn't have permission.
Well, I know you girls have, all of you have your stories of your past and what happened, and I'm so sorry that this happened to Carla.
We all have our scars. We all had our battle wounds.
And then Daryl is the youngest one, and you don't even know your youngest brother, correct?
I know of him. I know he's in Florida. That's about it.
Okay. So, with this said, Clarice never had children, but she raised Carla's children.
Clarice did have kids.
She did. Okay.
Yeah, Laurie committed suicide.
So she's dead too.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame. Okay. So then, of course, Chalice didn't have any children, and
I was her child.
You're like her child. I know that. And then Connie has a daughter.
Two. She had two. She had a daughter and a son.
Daughter and
Joshua
son.
and Nicole.
And then you had your daughter and son.
I had a daughter and two sons.
Two sons. Okay. And they're all living.
They're all living. Got kids of their own. I'm a grandmother 3 times. Yeah, I'm a grandmother 3 times over now.
And then Carla had a daughter, Chrissy, right? And
yeah, and a son. She has a daughter and a son.
Right. I remember the son too. Okay. And then Daryl never had any children?
Yeah, I think he's got a daughter. I'm not sure. I think he does. I think he's got one child. I'm not sure. Last I heard, he did.
Okay. So now we know who's alive, who's dead. And I would think that because of the dysfunctionality in the family from the abuse of the past and the denial and criminal activity on one of your sister and the disappearance of Chalice did a toll on the whole family. But
when Chalice disappeared, that totally disturbed money. What became was blessed in the family. It was blessed beyond repair then. Because nobody would help me bring that son of a bitch to justice. Nobody would help me in the family to get him arrested or to help me with it.
You're talking about John Paul. John Paul.
I'm talking about him.
Okay.
Nobody would help me go after him. Yeah, nobody would help me.
You gotta understand something, Charlene. If people are listening in, they're listening to this segment for the first time, they might not know who he is. So that's why I know who you're talking about, but I've got to reiterate that it was John Paul Sr. who was married to Chalice briefly before her disappearance. And we believe that he is the number one suspect for her disappearance.
He is the only suspect. He's the only suspect. Because he was the last person Charles was seen with before she disappeared. He was the last person that she was with before she disappeared.
So you actually met John Paul in Atlanta, correct? When they were living
together?
Unfortunately,
yeah. I went to see Charles one day at her house. But
and you also met John Paul Jr., correct?
Yeah, I did. They are cut from the same cloth and it needs to be burnt.
And what was your experience with the Pauls?
What?
Your experience. What was your relationship and experience with the father and son?
There wasn't much of one. It just brief encounter, actually. Just briefly, I met him. He came home from work. I went to his room. I didn't again until I left the next morning. In fact, they both for him and his son, John Paul Jr. I met them both briefly. And that was all they were passing through the house.
Okay.
They had other things to
do. And when was the last time you saw Chalice?
It was at his shop.
At his shop?
Yeah, John Paul's car shop.
Okay, that's where he built his Porsches, his racing cars in
right.
Lawrenceville, JLP Racing in Lawrenceville,
right.
Georgia. Yes.
That's the last place I saw her.
Okay.
And
after she went missing, there was a controversy over the real estate of your mother's house and also the house in Jonesboro with Donald Barnett. Now, I've done some digging up there in Madison and had my private investigator go up there to check archive records. You recall we called you and you rattled off the name of the address because they don't have computers and you had to blow the dust off of the deed books. And he didn't think we were going to get anywhere, but you rattled off the address in Madison and he looked up the deed, book and title, and screenshot it, sent it to me. And from what it appeared is that
John Paul stole it.
John Paul Sr. bought your mother's house, and Chalice was a witness to that. That is an absolute fact. Now, the reason why he bought it was that he was going to do the exchange with Chalice's first husband, Donald, and Donald wanted to move back to Florida, so Chalice and him still own the house equally in Jonesboro, so they were going to do an exchange. And then your mother was going to go and live in Jonesboro with Chalice. This is why this problem started with the sisters who got upset after she disappeared. Okay, that's we've come to the conclusion of what happened with the real estate on your mom's house. And of course,
Chalice disappeared about a month before Mom died.
well, we can't pinpoint exactly when she died, but we know when your mother died. You said your mother died.
Easter of 82. Easter of 82, she died.
Well, Chalice disappeared in 81, so you're a little off on.
Chalice disappeared just maybe a couple months before Mom passed away. Went wrong.
You might think it was a couple of months, but it was probably more like 10 months, but give or take, because she was in Florida the summer, June 1981, from a newspaper clipping I found.
Mom died early 82.
And your mother died stroke after midnight on Easter Sunday. And
Sunday, 82.
Right. Okay. So anyways,
Charles was listed down.
At the funeral, there were some interesting things that took place. Can you tell us about the funeral?
I really don't like talking about any of this, Lisa, but I will tell you that John Paul sent flowers and signed Charles's name to him.
He sent a wreath of flowers on top of her casket.
Right. He signed Charles's, he signed his and Charles's name to it.
So he signed his name and Chalice, knowing she was missing, knowing that people were questioning her whereabouts, but he misled the whole family in believing that she was still alive, like they were still a couple, when he was already with another woman, because the timeline proves that. And that
like Charlene Wood.
No, it wasn't Charlene. It was Hurley Haywood's sister. Okay, it was his sister who Hope.
I'm talking about that stuff.
Hope Haywood Paul was the woman he married after Chalice. I have the timeline. I have, the marriage certificate. I know, and actually, he married her when he was still legally married to Chalice. Because
listen, honey, Lisa, I know how down important this interview is. I really do, and I really want to get the word out about Chalice's disappearance and who killed them, because we know who did that. But I'm just so stressed out right now. I got to get off this phone. I got to lay down. My blood pressure is going up. So I got to get off here. So,
okay. Can we pick this up? Can we pick it up tomorrow?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
There's one more thing I want to say. I miss Chalice more than I miss my own life.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll pick it up tomorrow, okay? So you lay down and take it easy.
All right. Good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.